2 weeks and hopefully the next month and a half with this group, but also evaluate everything within our program that needs to happen to consistently show up against teams like Ohio State and find ways to play winning football. We're not there. Clearly, we're not close right now, but this group's going to keep competing. What a great opportunity for us to respond on the road against Michigan and bounce back.
Maybe you just sort of partly answered it by saying you guys aren't close, but especially after the 92-yard drive, did it feel like at that point, did it feel like, just sort of, was it in the air that this could go all the way? It could be a game until the very end, maybe end up winning it. Did you have that sense?
Yeah. I'll be honest with you. I challenged our entire program, going to the bye week. There's a distinct difference between hope and belief. Hope is just showing up on game day and hoping it's going to happen. Belief is operating in a way that is indicative of playing winning football on Saturday. Now, we all know and understand that if we play Ohio State in a 7-game series, that's a tall task. But that's why you play on Saturdays. Like, in the way that we came out swinging, those first 2 drives, we're up 7-0. Fully believed even coming out of halftime. That first drive by Ohio State, we get him to, I think it was 3rd and 5. Get Will confused, throws the ball back across into a seam player. Probably should be an interception, turns into a 63-yard gain. Fully believe in this team. My comment to the fact of we have a long way to go comes to consistently competing and finding ways to beat an operation like that. Like, we got to evaluate everything if we want to consistently compete at that level. But the men that we have in our locker room right now, any given week, any given Saturday, I'll go to battle with that group any day. I fully am proud of the way that our guys prepared and competed. But certainly in a game like this, you have to win in those ultra-thin margins, and we weren't able to do that today.
Charlie. Coach, you specifically mentioned those first 2 offensive drives. What do you think changed after those first 2 offensive drives for you guys?
I think it's rhythm and momentum. You even saw it at times when our offense was able to get back into rhythm. We were able to move the ball today, and I know our rushing yards weren't where you want them to be, but to me that was a reflection of some of the sacks that we took late in the game. And being down by 3 scores where we're like, man, we need 3 touchdowns and 3 2-point conversions, and how consistently can you try and run the football? But in terms of, establishing a line of scrimmage and, battling, I saw some really good things. Jack, especially early, the confidence he was throwing the ball with, the catch, Bryce Kurtz, A.J. Henning, C.J. John, there's some positive things there. The momentum and rhythm. Ohio State going on long drives where our offense, who was in rhythm, being sat down on the bench for a while. And then there's no one else in the country I'd rather have snapping for us than Will Hulkyard. I've never seen Will make a snap like that, either in a game or practice. But, that was certainly just kind of a momentum, but saw some good things out of our offense. Unfortunately, got out of rhythm there, especially end of the second quarter.
Chris, so how has Jack's confidence grown to the point where you saw that first quarter just kind of going? Because those throws I know that he was making, we didn't really see those in the first kind of starts he had. But where's his confidence gone in that? How far can it go?
Yeah, no, the proof is what we saw today, right? It's easy for me to talk about practice, but to go up against the number 2 team in the country that is stellar on defense and play the way that he did in stretches should be something for all of us to be really excited about. Quarterback is one of those positions that, reps are invaluable. Game reps are invaluable. You see it with NFL quarterbacks. A lot of these NFL scouts, they want to see guys that are seasoned players that have done it in their arena, not just for 10 games, not just for 12 games, that have done it over the course of time. And the experience that Jack has gained this season has been invaluable. To his credit, through the ups and downs, he's just continued to improve.
Brendan?
Coach, you talked about how the sacks brought your rushing total way down. 6 tackles for loss for Ohio State, 39 yards lost for you guys. What were they doing in their front 7 that made it so difficult for you guys to stop the pass rush?
They were really, really aggressive. There was a lot of pressure. And some of it was maybe a one-on-one matchup loss, maybe a back in protection getting lost. there were times today that I felt we were protecting Jack really well, and then there were some other times where you felt like, he was under siege by the time he caught the ball. But I think that the exciting part is you can see, like, in those moments where we were doing a good job, our two offensive tackles going up against, a couple of the best DNs we're going to see and going toe-to-toe with them at times, it's an opportunity to take some confidence going into these last 2 weeks.
Coach, with Theron Johnson out, how do you evaluate the performance of your secondary, and do you have any updates on his status moving forward?
Yeah. What I'll start off by saying, Braden Turner has a huge play. I believe it was on a fade ball down here, whether it was the third quarter or fourth quarter. Should be a huge confidence boost for Braden. You see Josh Fussell late in the game, make another big play out in right field. The level where that has to improve in the secondary comes back to the consistency. Can we see that type of confidence and performance out of those guys consistently? But I grab both those guys after that. Like, if this isn't some form of confidence booster against one of the best wide receiving cores you're going to see, like, or may ever see, like, I don't know what's going to give you that extra shot of confidence. So there's things to build off of. The consistency needs to improve. We do anticipate having Theron back next week.
Have you talked to Jack about his ball security and just overall what are some things you think you can do to protect the ball better, both in and out of the pocket?
Yeah, I think in the pocket it's two hands on the football. I don't want to give too much info away, but he does have some habits in the pocket that is concerning, that fundamentally needs to get cleaned up. And then when the ball's in traffic, with that turnover where he's scrambling, in those situations we got to make sure that we got two hands on the ball and we're protecting it.
Coach, troubles with snaps from both your center and long snap today. Is there a common thread there?
It'll be interesting to go back and look on film, but not that I'm aware of, no.
And there's also been some snap issues at Purdue. Are you evaluating that position in terms of potential change to the depth chart? How do you evaluate Jackson's play?
Yeah, I'll tell you what, it's the few, the proud in that room right now. They're battling their butts off. I'm really proud of the way that Jackson Carcel has continued to battle. We got to clean the snaps up, but no, we are not evaluating that position right now.
Yeah, Coach. And then over the last few weeks, we've seen Hyman get pretty involved, along with Porter, really balanced attack. Today, we saw a little bit of a pass-heavy attack. Was that kind of like the game plan heading into it, or did the game kind of just dictate that?
I think there were some things that we saw going into the game plan against their front, and based on, were they going to play single high defense or more two high structure, that we were going to adjust and adapt as we moved on. But we certainly wanted to have a balanced attack and make sure we continued to consistently run the football if we wanted to find ways to shorten this game and control the football. And when the game was, a one-score game or we're up 7, like you're definitely on that pattern. But the second we come out of half, and I believe it went from 21-7 to 28-7. At that point, the game plan has to adjust and become more pass-heavy, and those aren't situations we want to be in. You got to keep believing, keep competing, but not situations we want to be in, especially against an opponent like Ohio State.
Going back to the punt, what was the conversation like with Hunter there, just in terms of whether or not he should have fallen on the football there, maybe, or try to get it off? What was that conversation?
Give him a ton of credit. Go back and watch the film. What I saw is Hunter is waiting for that ball and hoping that it's going to cross over the goal line. And if it did, you would have seen him bat it out of the back of the end zone and take a safety. Since the ball had not crossed the goal line, if he bats it out of the back of the end zone, Ohio State would have gotten the ball where he batted the ball. So you could see he's waiting for it to cross the goal line, waiting for it to cross the goal line. It doesn't, and then he scrambles, picks it up, and tries to kick it. To be honest with you, one of the more headsy plays I've seen out of any football player in a long time. It rolls another couple yards in the end zone. I think we batted out of the back of the end zone, end up taking a safety.
Coach, a couple times down the stretch, opted to go for it on either a long 4th and goal or a long 4th down in the red zone rather than kick a field goal, especially in the third quarter where you could have cut it down to 3 touchdowns, compared to Washington earlier in the year. What is the difference in your mindset?
Yeah, if I'm referencing the points you're talking about, I think it was down 24 points. We needed 3 touchdowns, or maybe it was 21 at one point, but just really felt with the flow of the game, needing 3 touchdowns, limited possession game, that, the conversation on the headset the whole way, once we cross the 50 is, guys, this is 4-down territory the whole way. We're not kicking field goals here. We need touchdowns.
Couple more, Chris?
So you mentioned just program goals, that kind of stuff. Obviously, bowl eligibility is a big one this year. With 2 games left, I know consistency plays a big part of it, but how do you achieve that consistency to win those 2 games, get bowl eligibility?
Yeah, it starts with practice. And I know, we don't have open practice. You're not privy to seeing those things, but our guys are practicing well. And I think that's a credit to the leadership on our football team within the locker room. We to give ourselves the best chance to show up against Michigan. We got to go have a great week of practice, and then we got to, like I told the team, I said the margins are ultra thin. It's really easy to say, well, if these 3 plays would have went well, we would have been in the game in the fourth quarter. Well, you could say that about every game, but the reality is, clean up a snap on special teams, a couple 3rd down stops by our defense. Jack doesn't fumble the ball. Like, okay, let's hone in on the details. Let's go back to work. And let's see if we can close out this regular season playing our best. We've seen what this team can do when they put all 3 phases together. I still don't think we've played our best football yet. So let's see if we can go out on a high note. And we're going to have to against an opponent like Michigan and a great team like Illinois.
Brendan?
Coach, in the second half, Ohio State averaged almost 7 yards a carry. What do you think happened that they had so much success? Was it fatigue? Was it play calling?
Yeah, I think some of it had to do with, some of the explosive passing plays that are showing up. And, you're kind of playing that game of cat and mouse. Okay, let's stick an extra hat in the box. Okay, now we're exposing ourselves to some things in the passing game. The passing game is getting going for these guys. We want to play a little bit more shell defense. At some point, if you're going to play a bunch of 2-high structure with an offensive line and backs like Ohio State, they're going to have the ability to start leaning on you a little bit. It'll be good to get back and look at the film and really truly evaluate it.
Steve?
Kind of a big picture thing, but does Northwestern somehow just have to get beyond the point when there are games played, in Chicago and Evanston, whatever, that look like road games? And do you envision that unfolding? Is it somewhere out there?
I will look forward to, answering that question directly when we're putting 8, 9, 10 win seasons together. And when we're doing that, our fan base, better be the dominant fan base and showing up with a ton of passion. We've seen it. It's happened at Northwestern. I've seen the pictures, But we gotta go work our tails off tirelessly to put a product on the field that people have no choice but to show up, not only get in the seats but cheer their butts off for the Cats. And when we get to that point, if we're not showing up the right way, then that's an opportunity for me to challenge our fan base. But right now, those that are with us, I appreciate them greatly. They're loyal, they're passionate, they support our guys. The alumni that we had at the game today. Some alumni we had around the facility yesterday, I love this place. I love our players. I love the people that have been associated with this program for decades, and excited to go work our butts off to give people no choice but to, hop on the bandwagon and go do something really special together.
Last one, Charlie?
Coach, Jack had a couple 15, 20-yard completions down the field. What did you see out of his deep ball today?
Yeah, he's getting the ball out. He's getting the ball out and up early. He's allowing, playmakers like A.J. Henning, Bryce Kurtz, C.J. Johnson to adjust to the ball and go compete for it. And that wasn't something that he was doing earlier in the season. I think that's where we're seeing some of that deep ball production show up.
Awesome. Thanks, Coach.
Thanks, everyone.
We'll have Jack Lausch and Bryce Kurtz.